Shalom, it's me, Baht Of Zion, and today on 2 a.m. Confessionals or Chronicles, I'm going to talk about trusting the process even though you're being scarred or have scars. Even though you may be scared, still trust Yahweh. And I'm not saying that from a place of comfort. I'm saying that from a place of pressure, from a place of being stretched beyond what I thought I could handle. And I'm pretty sure you may feel the same way. This walk is not what people make it seem like on the outside. And it's not always peaceful. It's not always clear. And it's definitely not always easy. Now, family, this walk has exposed me. It has forced me to confront parts of myself that I tried to ignore. It has pulled me out of situations, relationships, as I normally talk about, and it has pulled me out of mindsets that once felt normal to me. In that process, family, believe it or not, it hurts. It leaves marks. It leaves scars that don't just disappear overnight. Now, the people will see you moving different, and they'll also think you switched up. But they don't really ever get to understand the obedience behind the separation. There are moments I've sat in silence, just thinking, like right now, trying to process everything. The weight of letting go, the weight of standing alone at times, the weight of knowing that I can't go back to what once felt familiar because I've been shown too much truth. That kind of awareness, family, it changes you. Like, seriously, it does change you. You can't unsee it, you know? You can't pretend like you didn't because you know better, right? And I want y'all to understand that as well. Like, you cannot unsee what Yah has shown you. Okay? Now, I've had to walk away from people I genuinely cared about, right? Not because I wanted to, but because I had to. I had to shut off emotions so I could stay aligned to Yahweh's Torah. And that's something people don't like to talk about enough. The emotional cost of obedience. It's actually real, family. You feel it. You carry it. Woof. You definitely carry it. Sometimes it feels like you're grieving people who are still alive just because you can't walk with them the same way anymore. Now, if you ever experienced that, drop a 1 in the comment. You know what I'm saying? Or if you've ever experienced that, share this message to someone whom you've experienced it with. But they may not be in the truth, or they may be coming into the truth, you know? Just to help them out. So yeah, there were times I questioned things. Times I asked why it had to be this way. Why the isolation? Whew. Why the constant testing? Why does it feel like every time I get through one thing, something else is right there waiting for me? Y'all know that feeling. I wanted answers, and I'm pretty sure some of you do too. I wanted clarity. I wanted some kind of release from the pressure, Release from what I felt like at the moment was consistent anguish, right? I just wanted release. But guess what I got? I got silence. I ain't get no answer, none whatsoever. And in that silence, I had to make a decision. Okay? Either lean on my own understanding, right? Which we ain't supposed to be doing, or standing firm on what I know is true, even without having everything explained to me and without having everything planned out. Having faith, because that's what you call having faith, family. So there's been plenty of times where I chose to stand instead of run. Even in the times that I was crying and felt like I was breaking, I chose to stand. And I pray that some of you are doing the same thing right now. Not because you have it all figured out. Not because I have it all figured out. Not because we don't feel the weight. Not because we're unaffected. But because we know who Yahweh is, regardless of how we feel in the moment, right? I know what he's brought me out of, and I know you know what he's brought you out of, right? So with us having that knowledge, we also know the conviction he's placed in us, in every single one of us, right? We know the truth he's revealed to us, and we can't turn back on that just because the process is uncomfortable. Like whenever we get ready for the refinement process, because that's pretty much what all of us righteous ones go through, right? We either gonna stand at the doorway and let the fire burn our toe and say something ridiculous, just being plain out rebellious, right? We want to watch everybody else walk through the fire, but we want to stand there at the end, getting our toe burned, fussing, carrying on, cussing, crying, because we don't want to get burned, right? But we just don't truly understand at that moment that we have to go through the fire, through the refinement, right? No matter how uncomfortable it is, in order for Yahweh to shape and mold us into the warrior, the soldier that he needs on whatever battlefield it is that he chooses for us to be on. Okay? We have to. Even with the scars, we have to trust him. Even with questions, family, we still have to trust him. Even when we feel misunderstood, and that happens a lot to us, right? But guess what? We still have to trust him. Big kind. Because it's not about temporary comfort. It's not about temporary pain. It's not about temporary emotions, right? It's about your permanent spiritual growth for what's to come. That's what it's about. It's about obedience, It's about choosing righteousness, even when it costs you something real. And I know When I first came into my walk, I did not want to be giving up the things that I had to give up, right? And now, within my walk still, hallelujah, 2.5 years in, told I wrote by Yahweh, I can look back and see that I had to give those things up, right? Because I couldn't take dead weight with me. Even though it didn't look dead at the time when I was getting fulfillment or pleasure from it, right? But now, everything that I was trying to hold on to was everything that was meant to destroy me, right? So, yeah, you just gotta remember that, because people don't always see the internal battles, and that's what I speak a lot on the podcast about, right? Is those eternal battles, those battles within your mind, within your own flesh, while you're still trying to disconnect yourself from your flesh, right? They don't see the discipline. Okay, I'm gonna say that again, because I know somebody probably like, yeah, girl, yeah, but yeah, they don't see the discipline it takes to check your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions. They don't see the restraint, is what I'm saying, family. They don't see the prayers that don't get posted, okay? Because we ain't doing no clout chasing. The tears that fall when nobody's around. The moments you have to remind yourself why you even started this truth walk in the first place. They don't get to see that. But guess who does? El Elyon, Yahweh. He sees the effort that I and that you put in. He sees the sacrifice, family. He sees every time you choose him over your flesh. Every time you choose him over somebody else. Every time you held your peace instead of reacting. Every time you walked away instead of staying in something that was pulling you out and pulling you away from Yah. Okay? And that's why we're still standing. That's why a lot of us are still standing. Not because I either thought I was untouchable. Not because I refused to let what I went through pull me away from who I trust. I'm scared, but I'm not broken. You know, I'm tested, but I'm still here. Oh, I'm stretched thin, family. I'm stretched thin between work, children, family life, problems like y'all may have. But I'm still standing firm. And I know that you can look back on your current situation and say the same thing. And guess what? You're supposed to say the same thing, right? Because you got to be able to speak life and motivation into yourself. The same way that when you read your scriptures, it speaks life and understanding into your ruach, your soul, your spirit, right? And at the end of it all, no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, no matter who understands or who doesn't, you still trust the Most High Yah. And maybe what I've learned through all of this, the most I've learned is that trust isn't proven in comfort. It's proven in endurance. Because Yah does tell us to endure to the end, right? So it's proven in endurance. Anybody Anybody can say they trust when everything is going in their favor, right? But the real trust is when you understand running out of things, when your emotions can't be controlled, when your path feels unclear, and yet you still choose to stay anchored in Yah. Seriously. See, there's a different kind of strength, Slika, that comes from being refined in silence. When nobody's clapping for you, and nobody's checking on you, okay? Nobody sees what you're carrying but you, and you still choose not to fold. You still choose discipline. You still choose obedience. You still choose truth over ease. Hallelujah. Right? So I've learned, family, that scars don't always mean something went wrong. Sometimes they are just proof that I survived what was meant to break me, right? And if I'm still here, still breathing, still thinking, still standing, then that means there is purpose even in what hurt me. And I want you to see that for yourself too, family. There's purpose even in what hurt you. Okay? I don't need everything to make sense right now. Even though sometimes I want it to, right? And I want you to understand that you don't need everything to make sense right now. We don't need every door to be opened immediately, right? We don't need every question answered in the timing we would prefer. What we need is to stay following Yahweh. Staying with Yahweh. That's what we need. What we need is to keep our heart from turning cold against Yahweh. That's what we need, family. What we need is to keep trusting where our heart belongs and whom it belongs to. Because I've seen too much to go back, right? I've felt too much truth to pretend I don't know it. And I've carried through too much to doubt that I'm not still being guided by Yah, even when I don't feel it in clarity, right? So I still keep going because I know one day it is going to be clear, right? And I know that day will be the salvation. God, not perfectly, not without struggle, not without moments of silence, where I have to breathe and remind myself who I belong to. Told I Yahweh, but I keep going. And if I had to sum it all up, family, strip everything else away, remove all the noise, every single thing I had to deal with, all the confusion, all the emotional weight, I will still come back to this. Even though I'm scared, even though you may be scared, with whatever comes our way, we will still trust the Adonai, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, Yahweh, forever, forever, forever in a day. Shalom, Barakah.